Now, much greater attention has been given internationally to the problem involving the Lord's Resistance Army, which last I saw had been had reportedly abducted as many as 20,000 children. There was supposed to have been a ceasefire back in 2008, I believe, but apparently a formal and lasting agreement continues to elude all parties. Bring us up to date with what's happening in Uganda with the Lord's Resistance Army and Joseph Kony and the state of that conflict.
It's very important to put this in perspective. Joseph Kony and the Lord's Resistance Army emerged later down the road. What I've been describing about taking people and putting them in camps had already started. The repression, the atrocities, the killing, the rape of men and women had already been going on well before Joseph Kony came on the scene. LRA have committed serious atrocities. They've abducted children, and they deserve to be condemned, to be held accountable, to go to the International Criminal Court for the crimes they have committed. What the world does not know is that the Ugandan government used the presence of the LRA, and there are good reasons to believe that, in fact, they made sure the LRA did not come to an end. They had the opportunities to end the LRA episode. They didn't want to do so, because the LRA provided the pretext, the cover, under which Mr. Museveni wanted to accomplish the genocide that he perpetrated in northern Uganda. It was the excuse he would use to say, I'm here fighting the LRA. I'm forcibly removing people from their villages to protect them against the LRA. These camps are abominable, the conditions are terrible, but this is the price we have to pay for fighting against the LRA. Mind you, the local population weren't protected against the LRA in the camps. The soldiers who stayed in the center, protected by the local population. The LRA had a free hand in and out of the camps. And indeed, the local people said over and over again, we would prefer to be in our homes, our villages, and protect ourselves against the LRA than to be in these camps in the pretext that we are being protected against the LRA. One of the academics, I think Professor Mamdani, said this is a situation where the supposed cure is worse than the original disease. Because if you look at the number of people killed by the LRA, the suffering caused by the LRA, there's no comparison with what was done by the government in the name of protecting the population from the LRA. So we have the LRA, and there's been rightly the light shed on their activities. What we do not have is similar light being shed on what the government has been doing. Now, for the last 6 or so years, the LRA has not been on Ugandan soil. They were first in Sudan. From Sudan, they've gone to the Congo. Now they may be somewhere between the Congo and Central African Republic. There were negotiations that went on. They didn't produce any definitive results. They do not now pose any threat to Uganda. However, I still believe that the Ugandan government does not want to end the LRA episode. It is in their interest for the LRA to continue to be a shadowy group there, in part because it provides the excuse I spoke about earlier, but also in part, very important point, the LRA presence has provided the political alibi for Mr. Museveni. Whenever the Ugandans said, where do the monies that is given to the military go? So, LRA, we can't disclose what is happening to the military budget. How about corruption? Well, we have got to do things with the LRA. How about multi-party, genuine democracy? We have to postpone that because we're fighting the LRA. So in addition to the LRA being a pretext for genocide in northern Uganda, the LRA became the political alibi for all the preoccupation that Ugandans have. And when they asked Mr. Museveni, the answer was, we are fighting the LRA. You've got to remember the LRA was some kind of really, really ragtag rebellion group with no support from outside. From time to time, I think they got some support from Sudan. But apart from that, nothing at all. Why would it take 15, 20 years for the Ugandan government with a huge military budget, with support